Welcome to the Be the Lead podcast. I'm Brent Yates. Here we go. Hey, man.
Hey, what's up, bud?
Hey, this is it. For our audience, it's Stephen Cade. We're here in my home in Nashville. Stephen and I met July 4th weekend and obviously hit it off, and we're going to learn a lot about him and what he does. #1 award-winning singer, songwriter. Been at it a few days, and as we all have, to get to this place. I've got a fly that really likes my hat. It's attracted to wings, apparently, and I am an equal opportunist. I'll get my Martin's hat out here momentarily. But again, Stephen Cade, when he came to my house over July 4th weekend, you'll get to hear a little bit about his story, his songs, what inspires him. And what inspired me to have him in the captain's chair here today. And so you see I've got my little Porsche cup here today. That's one of my inspirations in life is racing cars. And now I'm building cars. I would consider myself a fair amateur racer. I've got the time and certainly the energy and a little bit of the know-how over the last 7 or 8 years on really what a race car can do. So 3 weeks ago, I had a race car up at Mid-Ohio Racetrack, and it's one of my old favorites. And I'm kind of disguising what I'm doing here because I know competitors are going to be going, all right, what's he got going on? And those are my buddies, by the way. But I'm taking a Porsche brand, and it's a mid-mount motor car, which means to me it should be Porsche's fastest car, and it's not. But it's the most comfortable car, the best handling car that I've ever been in. We're probably going to get rid of this fly. I'm going to probably smack my face here in a minute. But the most comfortable, best handling car on the track, and I've had a few of them on the track. But Porsche decided that the 911 should be the fastest car in their lineup. And I'm going to take a 4-liter and turn it into 4.5. I'm not. My friends at NFI are going to handle that. We're going to turn it into 4.5 liters, do a little clutch work, a little intake work, and I'm going to have a beast on the track, and I'm really excited about that. The car's on its way to New York right now to have a little work done. Jeez. And I'm really jacked up about that.
That's exciting.
So I know that NFI is going to love my new set here. They also helped me with the wall, and we've got a little racing gear here to get at this. But I think the house just really got it finished over the July 4th weekend. Inspired by music.
Yeah.
We're here in Nashville, inspired by architectural. My wife introduced me to Italy on our honeymoon, and I'll try to say the word as best I can, but inspirato, just inspired by, it all crashed right here in my house with the music and Nashville and that whole scene, and then you've got the art and the culture of Italy, and just really excited what came out of it right here at the house. So glad to have you here.
Yeah, excited to be here.
And so dropping back into when we met, how we met, I was full bore getting this house ready for July 4th weekend. COVID kind of stopped my party last December. I had a bunch of friends. We were going to go to an island for my birthday, and I said, you know what, I'm building this house in Nashville, and I'll have it done by July 4th, and we're going to have a little get-together. So friends came. I don't want to say people. Friends came from across the country and converged on Nashville over that weekend, and it was really special that they'd make the effort for me and not knowing what we'd roll into. And I apologized to them at one point for like it was months of preparation and then a few days of, okay, we're having a big cookout here. It's going to be 3-day cookout with 30, 40 friends, and just trying to be as good as I can be and be the right host was just a lot of pressure on my wife and I. And so anyway, I apologized at one point. But how we got in contact with several artists here, and it was always on the forefront for me to get connected, obviously, in Nashville. As you all know, part of our platform is kind of taking people that inspire me and seeing if we can help them along on this journey and inspire others on a higher level. And so when I met Steven and his family, I felt that, and he's my very second artist. Nick, my man who does my camera work, was my first artist. But I think on on a level of really just down the road, the Well House, the coffee house. I said to Christina, I said, we've got to find some artists for that weekend. We've built this platform for them out here, and we haven't got to that piece. We went down, we met kind of a manager, and we just said, hey, I want to hire you to help me out to find some talent here in Nashville. And right, we can all call the big names. We can call the managers, and I've done that. But that's not what we're really after. We're after somebody that really, gets connected with us and we connect with on a different level and think that they have something that the world needs to hear. And Steven, obviously, you're the first and second guy to do that for me. So we got the artists' names and numbers. She organized you to come for the 4th, and I think now we get into you and that you're here, and we'd like to know a little bit about your background, how you not got here to my house, but how you got to Nashville, what inspired you to get there. I know you came through Houston, through California. I don't know how long you've been here, but just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and very inspired by everything you're doing as well. But yeah, I mean, I grew up in Houston, Texas, and just loved the South. I lived like 2 miles away from Mickey Gilley's, which was a place that a lot of artists would come in and perform. So I got the taste of the South and country music quite a bit at a young age. And even though I was inspired a lot by Michael Jackson and Elton John and Rod Stewart and Bruce Springsteen and so many different artists, I always just came back to country, and I just always have. So I feel like my grandmother is she's no longer with us. She just passed last summer. At this time, she was 93. She is what we call a war bride, a German war bride. So she was in Germany when my grandfather met her. He was in the infantry called Big Red 1, which is the 71st Infantry Division for World War II.
Wow. And
so she met him. He came to her house as a soldier to get soap, just like soldiers would do. They'd knock on the houses and barter, at that time. And he fell in love, of course, love at first sight, brought her back, and she had to matriculate through Ellis Island, just like a lot of immigrants did at the time. And so I have a real just passion for veterans, for people who, abide by the laws of the nation, of the great country that we live in. And I mix that with music. I've been able to travel all around Canada, all around United States, performing over 6,000 shows. I've opened up for large artists, and I feel like God has me on a mission with music, honestly. And so with that, I've traveled to Southern California. I lived in Southern California. I've seen I've seen the sunset in the ocean. And I've snowboarded, surfed, and skateboarded all in one day.
Awesome.
Which is
That's
cool.
Amazing.
Had surf PE.
I think that's one of the only places in America you can do that, right?
Only maybe in the world,
yeah.
Quite honestly.
Yeah.
And music for me began really in Southern California, in a band, and I was talking to Nick earlier and telling him about the adventure I had with my first manager, Floyd Rose, who invented the locking neck tremolo system for the guitar that Eddie Van Halen and every basically guitar god in the 80s used. And so I learned a lot from Floyd for the 4 years he managed me and my band. That was like my first adventure. And from then I never gave up playing music. I always wrote, I always performed. And as I've gotten older and I have kids and a wife now, music is so much more than just writing music and performing it. It's a message, and I understand that music is extremely powerful now, and it's infused with essentially everything that happens in the world. And I don't think we even quite get the sounds that, really God gave us all the sounds of the birds and the ocean and the wind and all these things that create the molecules that feed us, and then we turned it into music, really, essentially. And I got to study Bach and his 365 chorales and how he created music theory, and And so carrying that forward, you just learn about the history of music and where does that all fit into you as an artist, all the way from blues, to Buddy Guy, to B.B. King, to, even to, Hendrix and Zeppelin and all the things that happened at that era and fast forward to now, all the great songwriters, James Taylor, Cat Stevens. I mean, you can go on and on. I mean, all these people who kind of paved the way for artists like myself to glean from,
That's so cool.
So
That's so cool. So we've never talked about the awards. I know you have some, but we've never spoken about them. But on what did intrigue me as much as your awards on your website is maybe some backstories to a couple artists. One was Shania Twain.
Yeah.
Another one was McGavin. Is that
Gavin McGraw. Yeah.
I met him and Gwen, and it was quite an interesting story. I didn't know he was there, but I did know she was there, and it was interesting just a few years back in New York. But back to your story on maybe some awards and maybe a couple cool stories around them.
Yeah, I mean, really, I've been considered for 7 Grammy nominations. I've won multiple awards in San Diego, Country Music Awards. Right now, I'm up for two Josie Music Awards. I've won the Durango Songwriting Contests. There's a lot of, I've been blessed to, when you enter something, you don't know if you're going to place or even get noticed, quite honestly. And so I've won awards, which is pretty amazing. Now, it doesn't happen every day,
right.
Obviously not every year, but for the times that it does happen, I'm very thankful and very humbled by it, because to be honored and to be recognized, quite honestly, amongst millions. Millions. Just if you think about all the artists that are vying for that position, it's crazy, and they're all hungry and they believe that they can reach the top.
Yeah. It's interesting as athletes, there's kind of a time period where, you can perform at a very, very high level. As a music artist, like, no one falls out of the game if they just have an inkling of, I'm going to make it, or I'm going to get there. But bigger than that, it's not that they're going to make it. It's how they speak. It's where their value is, and they get to create. And for those of us that really don't have that ability, I feel that. And that's the beautiful part about music is you don't expire until you want to go away.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And honestly, I have to say this. Look at Michael Jordan. He played basketball till he was in his early 40s. And by the way, he could kick some tush at that age.
Yeah.
I imagine if Michael Jordan wanted to suit up right now, why don't, really?
100%.
Now he is Michael Jordan, which is the greatest basketball player of all time. And that's no arguments. There's no arguments in my mind about that. But, you even think of Roger Federer.
Yeah.
He's hitting with guys that are 20 years old.
Yeah.
And
so what wears out on a musician? Like, do you notice your throat? Do you feel like you're getting stronger? Can you improve that as you go along? How does that work?
I look at people like Willie Nelson. He's in his 80s and he's still singing and playing guitar. So I think when it's your time to step off of your stage, then it's your time to step off of your stage. A judge. Let's look at a judge who's in his 75 years and 80s and he's heard thousands of cases.
Right.
Don't you think your mind would just be like fatigued after, guilty, not guilty, or this award, that award? And I think it's just a matter of when it's time to get off of your platform, then you make the decision and you move on, you pivot and you go to another thing. For me, I hope to see myself performing until I'm, my 80s and 90s.
There you go.
Maybe, who knows? I'll hit 100 doing it. I don't know, but
many in here know that Jack LaLanne is my mentor, so I'm trying to stay fit and trying to look at what he does. So no different. Like, we have to put that guy out there that inspires us, and they've been there for a long, long time. So there's got to be that person in your life.
I love
if
Jack
you wanna go
LaLanne.
further.
I love that story.
His stories
oh
are
my
amazing.
goodness,
Amazing.
That's a guy you can learn a lot from.
He had a lot going on early, like before we knew what juicing was, before we knew what never eat out of a package meant. It was like, really? How did he get that 60, 70 years ago when we're still struggling with it today? Look at us. Yeah. So give me an artist that you think that there might be that would connect with us that most people know. And there were several on your list that you had a fun story with, or where you opened with them at, and what you maybe a gleam from them more than a story about what happened.
Sure. There's so many that I've honestly thankfully I've been able to open for and play with. I'm trying to think of somebody who really imparted something into me that, okay, I can think of somebody. Eric Church.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Been to his concert, by the way.
yeah.
Amazing.
And Eric may not even remember this because, come on, I mean, he's everywhere and everywhere. It's just, but I remember when we were in the San Diego Sports Arena. What they called it the San Diego Sports Arena, by the way. They call it the Valley View Casino Center now, and I was signed by a record label called Pacific Records, and they gave me a call, and they're like, "Hey, Eric Church is coming to town. He's going to need an opener for his VIP, and would you like to be that artist?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
oh come on, I mean, absolutely." So, and Ernie Hahn is the owner of the Valley View Casino Center. He owns the whole building. And so Ernie had come down into the room, and he's also a surfer. He's really active in Southern California. He's a great guy, and he came in and he's like, "Hey, do you want to meet Eric?" I'm like, "Yes." And my wife is standing next to me, and my wife's like, "Yes, I'd love to meet, of course." So he was going to have a meet and greet for just a very small amount of time. And so we actually got to go and meet him even before the meet and greet happened. And he didn't have to do that, which was very kind of him. He took his time. He, said hello, shook our hands, talked with us a little bit. Just a very calm, individual that seemed humble, and yet he rocks the stage, and he's got a lot of fans. I mean, he's a CEO of many people, really, essentially, is what he is. And he took the time to meet. And I thought that was just really cool, but every artist has a different, thing going on. It's just interesting. I remember when Carrie Underwood came to town, I know the guys in her band, and I got to also do her party as well to open up for her. And, she was a little harder to get a hold of, but only because she's probably, you never know. An artist could be 80 dates in, and they just may be tired, just resting before they got to, light it up. But it's just different. Every artist has got a little something different, and some of them they allow you to get closer, and so
cool. Something we didn't talk about is two things. No one probably knows this, but I got a hey from Carrie Underwood, and my wife got a little video with Garth Brooks maybe 3 years ago at the CMA Awards. I heard you were on the CMA board. Is that true?
I'm not on the CMA board, but I am a CMA member.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm looking for tickets for the November Bridgestone show.
Well,
we'll work on that.
Yes, absolutely. Cool. You can make that happen.
Yeah. So as I told the audience, we met over the 4th of July weekend. I was inspired, Here You Sit, and there was a couple songs that really caught my attention. One is Cool in California. Your kids and wife was there, and the other song was Pinky Swear. And when I went on your website, I found them. But talk to me about the inspiration. I think I get it, but how did you get inspired? Where is that? I thought Cool in California, like everyone has to know on my sound list, like I have like 400 country songs. There's a few different artists in there and different genres, but mostly it's straight up country. So what inspired you for Cool in California, and where do you think that's going?
Yeah.
I think it could go a long, long way. How long's it been out? Tell us more about that song.
Yeah, that song was written because I remember I was born and raised in Houston, Texas, so I would call home. I was in California, and I'd call back to Texas and they'd be like, my family would be like, "Don't you miss the South, the good cooking, the great people, and the mosquitoes and the hot weather?" And my wife overheard the conversation. She's like, "Honey, tell them you're cool in California." And we were just having fun, right? It was like no big deal. So that was the title. And then I had that title, and I was like, I got to do something with that title, just because it just had the C and the C and just the whole thing, right? So I just said, I went to Nashville. I wasn't living in Nashville at the time, so I flew out here, and I met with Skip Black and Liz Hangber. So Liz Hangber writes a lot for Reba McEntire, as well as other artists. So it was a blessing, honestly, for me to even be able to get in the room with her and with Skip. I had no idea exactly how that was all going to go, but it did, and it just that song happened. You know, "Kiss Me Right Here, Girl," just like I'm James Dean. You know, "Runaway Rebels," "Lost in a Dream." You know, "Top Down." You know, "Live Now." I'm like, man, that's
You painted it so well. Like
it's
all the
just
things that make you feel like we're going to California next week, and that song just was like, man, that I know that's waiting on me. But in a song, you just really hit it.
yeah, and so what we did was you submitted it. It got considered for best country song, best country solo performance. It got on a bunch of playlists. It's now almost at 150,000 streams, which is great. You know, it's not yet taken. It's not caught fire like, you know, and so that song really speaks to a lot of people. It just does. I feel like it has a lot of potential, a lot of promise. And so looking forward to keep playing it and just keep getting it out there and
Awesome.
promoting it. Yeah.
Awesome. So I invited you back when my kids came in the following weekend after July 4th, and I may have mentioned that, but the song that I wanted my grandchildren to hear was Pinky Swear.
Yes.
Tell us about
Pinky
that.
Promise.
Pinky Promise.
Right.
Yes.
Pinky Promise is really, for me, is a very, very special song because my daughter, during the pandemic, I was trying to make money just to keep food on the table, keep rent paid, and my daughter would come up and say, "Hey, Daddy, can you come outside, ride bikes, play Barbies, play hide and go seek with me?" And I'm just like glued, you know, to the computer. And she's like, I said, "I can't right now because I gotta work," you know. And my heart's just, you know, when your 9-year-old comes up to you, you know, I don't know the only way I can describe it is a dad to a daughter gets it. They understand it immediately. And so I would like, "I can't." She goes, "Well, do you pinky promise you can later?" I said, "Yes, I do pinky promise." She goes, "Well, you can't break a pinky promise." So that's when like my heart's like, I gotta release this thought and this whole thing to the world, because it became more of like dads and parents need to slow down and take in that moment. And I think we talked a little bit about this, about how, you know, we're always going to be able to make money. How much? That's a whole other discussion. How much money? But I've talked to so many people from what I do, and gentlemen have come up to me, and you know, they've made millions, they've made hundreds of thousands, and they say, "You know what? If I could do anything different right now, I would trade all this money in just so I could have more time with my kids. If I could rewind time, which I can't buy the time back, but going forward, I can do great things for their life." But now they're 18 and they don't even really almost need me anymore, to a sense, right? They can go out and make their own life, which is what we want our kids to do essentially anyway, to be independent and be strong. And so I just feel like it's a good reminder for parents just to say, man, just take this moment. You know, I might not make that extra 50, 100, 50,000, whatever it is, whatever your number is, but today I'm going to go to my daughter's gymnast, you know, I'm going to go there and be there for her because she asks. You know, our kids, they rely on us for that support when they're younger. They want us, we're their role models. You know, we're their heroes when they're kids. And so Pinky Promise is about, you know, just connecting, you know, with that. And so I've had a lot of dads, man. they've messaged me and said, and I'm on this thing called Clubhouse. I don't know if you've heard of Clubhouse yet.
I have heard of it.
And so I get on Clubhouse and guys will be on there like, "Man, I just want to tell you that I was listening to Pinky Promise and I actually ran upstairs and I gave my daughter a big hug and I was just like weeping and sobbing and I'm like, that's exactly what I was hoping that the song would do. Is just take a minute to pause, you know."
Yeah, so good. Well, it connected with, I got messages back from my kids and grandkids on how special a night that was. And, you know, the whole weekend was special, but what they really hit on was you connecting with them and just really singing for, you know, my family was really, really cool. Well, if you can't tell, we've got guitars, we got cellos in here. There's some fun stuff outside. But on my website, I did a video with Nick about Pat Green and how Pat Green 12 years ago really spoke to me with a song called "Trying to Find It." And so I think my affinity with music and just the whole Nashville vibe and the southernness is quite it's quite like apparent. But I think the passion really goes back to another place. And since we're on the kids subject, 3 or 4 years ago we were trying to get connected down here because we knew there'd eventually be a move this way. And when I say get connected, we want to help kids in and around Nashville, really anywhere in the country. We have a foundation that can help with certain things that we're passionate about. My wife's is more women, but kids always, right? The kids are born into situations they can't help themselves, and if we can give them an inspiration or a hand up, we always want to be present there and try to do that. And I think after I heard that song, we try, kind of going back, is we tried to get connected with a group here in Nashville where we could, where they could be on the inside and go, here's how we can help kids, whether that's with instruments, whether that's, some type of guidance when it comes from music, and how it can really impact their life and their hearts. So if you're open to it, I'm kind of asking you here live for the first time, is there a way that we can get connected in this town to help kids in music?
Of course.
Right.
I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, and I would be way up for doing that. And I think it's a matter of just, there's so many kids that are out there that need, mentors.
Yeah.
I think that's a big deal. Music does create a bridge, and it does create a communication. But at the end of the day, somebody's got to be in the trenches with them daily.
Yeah.
That is, leading them in the right direction. And honestly, if you really want to go deeper, I mean, I'm a man of faith. I think you probably know that. And I think that, there's a reason that God made he created the Word. And I feel like, faith comes by hearing, and hearing of the Word of God.
Yeah.
And it's impossible to please God without faith. So, I mean, the first thing they got to do is they got to have faith in God.
Yeah.
And that comes from the parents,
Yeah.
Or a mentor. And music is a great bridge.
Yeah.
It's an amazing, because like I said earlier, music is very powerful, and I would be open to doing that in a heartbeat, man.
Awesome. Well, you speak of faith on our Restore Us website. It's about faith, hope, and love. And many times in my life, without that faith to grab a hold of, and that knowing that God is out there for all of us, I would have never gotten through some moments. So faith, hope, and love, man. If you don't have it, you need it. We represent it, and we'll help you any way we can to find that. And a lot of people aren't brought up around that, but it's there for you. It's a free gift, and I'm proud to know that you speak it freely. And I think when people read my book and are on my website, they get it that's where we're at here at Be the Lead and Restore Us. So it's been a pleasure. So something special today is you walked in with a Taylor guitar, and had you walked in with something other, and I won't mention it, but Taylor helped me obviously with this wall. They were very gracious. They wanted to be represented in Nashville on another level, and I said, well, I need 22 of them, and they really helped us out with that. And you're going to be the first guy to sign a guitar and take it off my wall. And the guitar that you sign will always be here. The guitar that you choose, if it's way up there, like it may take me a couple days to get it to you, but it will get to you. If we can reach it with a step stool or a 8-foot ladder, I'd really, you take any one you want. So next we're just going to kind of cut it here, but I look forward to what we do in the future. If I can help you in any way, we're here for you. So Thank you for being the second artist on my show and the first artist to sign a guitar.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Next is he gets to pick out a guitar.
Yeah.
Really good to have you, man.
Thank you.
Look forward to the future.
Appreciate it. Thank you, brother.
Absolutely.
All right, here we go. I'm going to put this one here. Nice. What an honor. Man, that is so cool.
Which one are you picking out?
I'm going to pick up the Burst right here. It looks like a tobacco burst. I mean, that's a beautiful guitar, and I've always wanted to have one like that. So, wow. Amazing. Thank you so much. Be the Lead. Appreciate that. Thank you for the guitar. That is so kind of you. And I hope to pay it forward one day myself, quite honestly. So, wow. I'm excited.